gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
An absolutely beautiful day across North Mississippi as we got into our Thursday. And of course, Thursday wrapping up, heading into that final stretch of the work week. What is that forecast exactly going to look like? Well, we'll be discussing that here at 6 o'clock on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynard, joined alongside Chief Meteorologist Matt Lavon. Matt, looking dapper today. Dare I say, I love the bow tie.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Gabe always copies for bow ties. Hey, you know what? On special occasions, perhaps I'm going to be going to the Chickasaw and Kana Foundation's Legacy Gala later on tonight, actually within the hour. As soon as I get done here with what I'm doing on the weather forecast and hand it over to Gabe, that's where I'm heading out to. But for right now, we are dressed up to the 9s and 10s here in the Room to Room Weather Center at 6 p.m. And what we're looking ahead toward, a couple things in particular, one of which is just the fact that it is pretty nice out there, and we expect this fall-like weather to continue going into the next couple of days. But it's kind of a warmer and early fall-like feel to what is out there, and obviously that's just kind of a secret code to say warm and dry. Drought conditions do continue for most. Latest drought monitor out. We'll look at that in just a second. As you might imagine, it's not exactly good news. We need more rainfall to make up there, and we are tracking some rainfall, but it's next week before it becomes in more significant, and honestly, might be a full 7 days out. There could potentially be some strong storms with that once it gets here. But again, the system associated with that, as we talked about at 5 o'clock, is still more than 3,000 miles away. So a lot's going to change. We're looking, though, at what could be happening coming up in a couple of minutes. So 57 at 7 p.m. here. I'm going jacket with maybe no overcoat necessary on top of that because we're only 50 at 10. Still pretty mild, especially in comparison to the low 20s we started this week with for early temperatures. By tomorrow morning, we're going to be 46 at 4 a.m. and 47 by 7 a.m. as those kids getting started there with school in the morning. Dry, mostly clear, maybe some patches of fog, but not nearly as much dense fog as what we had this morning outside Caledonia at this instant. Got to look at you at 5 o'clock and looking now at 6 o'clock at 59 degrees and beautiful Caledonia again. Thank you so much for supporting us down there in Lowndes County for Mississippi Live Weather. And out in Oxford and Lafayette County at this time, coming in, this is Winona. I jumped ahead on that one there. I did indeed. Well, Montgomery County, we're happy to see you as well. 63 degrees under these mostly clear skies there, looking toward the horizon with only a few very high and thin clouds. And then Oxford, that reporting station. Okay, behind the scenes during this A block, if you would, check and see if you can get the temperature in Oxford someplace else. I just want to make sure we're referencing the right station there. It's been down for the last few days, but one thing that is not down, the drought monitor. Unfortunately, it is exactly the same as where we looked at it last week with most of the state of Mississippi in some form of drought. Now, listen, there's a huge chunk in the middle that is not where we've had some moisture. We do have some folks in the far northeast part of the state where that drought is not as significant as other spots, but this is virtually unchanged here across the northern part of the state with quite a few folks there, obviously, from Senatobia south to past Grenada and to northern Montgomery County under that level 3 out of 5 drought. Which indicates that obviously we have dry conditions and things are kind of crispy because of that. Hopefully things will start to change, and certainly we typically build out somewhat drier conditions, but this is still exceptional compared to what we typically expect. And though we've had some rainfall, we just haven't had enough. We're 61 right now in Houston, 64 degrees in both Grenada as well as Greenwood, 67 in Cleveland, and coming to about 59 in Tupelo, one of our cooler spots there, 57 also in the Amory area, 59 in Columbus. So mostly clear conditions. And again, those high and thin clouds, the main story here on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, kind of looking close to home here. It's a trio of high pressures that we have here across the region, the one down south, of course, the one we have up toward Nashville and the one back toward the west. And it's a sign we don't really have any substantial storm systems really anywhere near us. I go really wide on this to show you kind of the next ones we're watching. And really, there's a couple out back to the west. The one we have the Pacific Northwest here, the next front that's going to get close to us and then just, not going to do much. but I can start arguing for some rain chances near the first part of next week. It's the one beyond that, way, way out to the west. And again, I'll break out our ruler here to show you how far away. We're looking, the better part of around 3,900 miles away, almost 4,000 miles away. But if we instead measure the distance it'll go, which is kind of south like this, right, down toward Los Angeles, about 2,000 miles. And then from there toward us, that's more like, 4,500, almost 5,000 miles. So again, as the crow flies, 4,000 miles, but as it moves, probably closer to 5,000, if not more. Why does that matter? When we're talking about locations here in the lower 48 of the U.S. or out here in Canada, we have places where we send up weather balloons. We monitor what's going on up there. Over the ocean, we can't do that. So we have to guesstimate using satellites, other ways. And those don't work quite as well as when we actually send a weather balloon up through it. So that's why sometimes it is 5 or 6 days out before we really start to get a good idea on storm chances. We will have some of those as we look toward next week and could potentially have some severe storm chances, but we're still just a little too far out to have a good handle on that because of the fact that system is still so far away. So on the wider shot here, looking at Futurecast for this evening, again, high pressure, the story, you kind of see two parts of this high pressure center. I'd say obviously the one we have down here that we just kind of wiped off the map down there south of Louisiana, probably a stronger one because you can see that clockwise flow around that spot there. As we go through this evening, mostly clear conditions, and we definitely don't have the same quantity of clouds and fog for early tomorrow morning that we had for this morning, though still possibility of some patches of that foggy kind of weather out there to begin the day. As we bring it a little closer, though, most of those probably down there closer to Laurel, right at the coast. You can see some of those down Long Beach, Mobile, back into South Alabama there, where definitely there's going to be more fog to begin the day. That oftentimes does accompany high pressure. We do show some spots up here where perhaps we have a little bit of that, but I think this might actually be more partly cloudy skies on one of the puffy sort of clouds as we go through the day. But dry, 9 a.m. And I think dry for your Friday night football games, including our Mississippi Live game of the week. We are hoping that one obviously is going to be another good one. Excited to be up there, Faulkner and Okolona up in Faulkner, and really excited to be up there tomorrow. And it does look like by tomorrow evening we are going to be into jacket weather, but how deeply into that by the final kick? We're breaking that hour by hour forecast down as we look ahead on what is going to be obviously a warm day to end the work week with mid-70s. When we see our next rain chance, does it come with a big drop in temperatures as well? We're looking at that in more detail here from the Room to Room Weather Center as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues right after this.
At Room to Room, there's no need to wait. Black Friday deals are going on now.
Discover our gift shop full of treasures, Peter's Pottery, Votivo, and Tyler Candles, kitchen essentials, and more. All in stock now.
Room to Room Tupelo, where we know there's no place like your home.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/team up.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, as we bring it back here to the Room to Room Weather Center, we are tracking some fantastic conditions getting into our Thursday evening. Of course, we were mentioning the Oxford site, how that station may be down, and it looks like it is. So unfortunately, data not coming in, but not going to be too different than where things sit right now across North Mississippi. 61 degrees in Tupelo, a big identifier across the region of what those temperatures are. And the fact that it's 61 degrees at 6 o'clock on a mid-November night, we are definitely in the milder pattern of things, definitely feeling like early fall. and that was a pretty warm forecast for sure. West Point, similar conditions, 59 degrees. Dew Point, slightly higher, 48 degrees, and that little rise in the moisture could result in a few patchy, dense fog in some locations, but not exactly going to be widespread like what it was this morning. As we look at Mississippi Live Weather Radar, not anything to note in our skies, staying on the drier side once again, and not even having to worry about showers, and unfortunately not having to worry about northern lights tonight. I think we're going to stay away from that forecast. It's a little bit more diminished than where things sat this time yesterday, so if you missed it yesterday, and if you really missed it on Tuesday, well, unfortunately, it might be a little bit of time before we get to see that again. Really cool spectacle, though, so I hope you guys did get to see it while it was here. Satellite imagery, mostly clear across North Mississippi, and that continues to be the case as we get overnight. But as you take a look at our park planner, it is going to be a cooler evening than where things sit right now. 54 degrees by 8, falling off into the low 50s by 10, and upper 40s by midnight. Now, I don't expect anyone to be in the park at midnight, but if you're wrapping up those park plans, at least staying on the drier side once again as we get into whatever our Thursday evening entails. And it could be dinner, it could be anything you want it to be. It's that good of a night. 7 o'clock on your Thursday, staying dry once again across North Mississippi. You do see a little bit of cloud cover move in overnight, but not going to be associated with any showers. Southerly winds still pushing into the region. Could replenish a little bit of that moisture to produce a few showers down there around Madison and Meridian, Mississippi. But up here on the northern side of the state, our main focus is going to be some patchy fog in a few isolated locations. Our forecast does stay dry, so that's why that moisture not verifying into any rainfall. High pressure right over the top of us, keeping those conditions dry and clear. Let's go ahead and get into our Friday morning forecast. And as you can see, those slight areas of cloud cover, look like cloud cover, I should say. That's going to be those areas where we're watching for some patchy fog right there along Highway 45 and there towards Kosciuszko, getting a little bit as well. But those winds still coming out of the south, that moisture is definitely still going to be in the forecast. Your low temperatures to start your Friday, I mean, this is as mild as it gets for this time of year. 45 degrees in Tupelo, 46 in Corinth, 46 in Columbus. And as we jump out west, 57 in Greenville, 56 in Cleveland. I mean, that's almost, dare I say, a toasty start to the day for sure. But as we look at that, I didn't mean to include the wind chill, but yeah, wind chill not going to be a factor for our Friday either. Let's go ahead and get into that school day forecast. And as you can see, drop off 47 degrees, climbing to 70 degrees already at lunchtime, and then it gets even higher from there with 75 around that final belt. So will we need the layers in our morning commute? Yes. By the afternoon, I would dare say short sleeves and shorts might be what we need as we get into those football games. Plenty of sunshine all day long, so get out there and enjoy it. It is still going to be another beautiful day across Magnolia State. Let's go ahead and expand things out and talk about what we're experiencing in the atmosphere right now. So Friday morning stays on the drier side, high pressure again driving that forecast for the most part. We do get some of that scattered cloud cover out along I-55 and primarily for parts north. Not exactly going to produce any rainfall. Some of our projections yesterday trying to cycle in a sprinkle, not going to verify. Been saying that all week long, how this week will stay dry and dry as can be. Definitely a calm forecast. Noontime sticking with those dry conditions once again. Some thin clouds do develop, but again, no rainfall associated with it and not going to block that sunshine too much. That's why our temperatures warm up as much as they do. Well into our afternoon, a little bit of that more dense cloud cover right along the Mississippi River, trying to get there towards Clarksdale and Cleveland. But again, we are just tracking those partly cloudy conditions. It is still going to be a very sunny sky, and those sunny skies transition to mostly clear skies as we get into our playoff action across North Mississippi. Yes, whether you're in round 1 or round 2, playoffs are taking place all across the area. Go out and support your local team. And if they're not in it, well, there's one close by that's still in it. Go support them because we want everyone to be at a football game on our Friday night. It's going to be that great of a forecast. Let's bring it back in here to North Mississippi and look at those high temperatures. My word, is that warm for this time of year. Our normal high, 65 degrees there at the top left of your screen. Our record, 85 degrees. So no, we're not throwing it back to 1955, but 2025 definitely having some toasty conditions attached to it. 78 in Houston, Grenada, Greenwood, even out there towards Greenville. Wouldn't be surprised if a few locations out here in the Delta got all the way up to 80 degrees. But here in Tupelo, 76, Boonville, 73, and Corinth going to be around 75. Our high school game of the week forecast presented by Casey Lott going to be a very mild forecast and clear. 67 pregame, 58 halftime, and 57 towards that final snap. Very little cloud cover, and that's going to make for a great game up in the sky. It's up to the boys to make it a great game out there on the field, and we'll be over there in Faulkner to watch Okolona, the Chieftains, coming to town to take on the Faulkner. Someone has to correct me in chat. I believe it's the Faulkner Eagles, might be the Golden Eagles. I think it's just the Eagles, so Let me know in chat for our Faulkner fans out there. But it's going to be a good time nonetheless over there in Faulkner. Chief Meteorologist Matt Loppon and I going to be there. So come say hey to us and snap a few pics. We'll post that later on the page. Futurecast on your Friday evening continues with those dry conditions. I want to say wind's still coming out of the south, so that moisture element's still going to be there. But with how calm things are, and we are still in that fall season, it's not going to produce anything like high heat indice values. No, we're just going to keep that pretty much warm but comfortable forecast into our Saturday. Let's expand things out and kind of see what's cycling in. So Saturday, being that we are on the west side of that high pressure center, wind still coming out of the south, and there's where that moisture will build back with a little bit of cloud cover there for our Saturday. More partly cloudy conditions kicking into the area, but those make way for some sunny skies by the afternoon, warming us up once again, and that is going to be a spectacular forecast. If you do not have plans to get outside or you're not heading to Vaught Hemingway to see the Rebels play, well, then you need to figure out something to do that's outdoors, because this is a great forecast for sure. Breezy conditions make those temperatures even more comfortable, so go to the park, go make some outdoor activities, make them happen. It's going to be that good of a forecast, especially with some rain chances kicking back into the forecast by next week. We do see this cold front that Matt was breaking down at 5 o'clock, moving into the area, but not really going to have anything attached to it. Main thing this will bring is a shift in those winds, so that's going to move in by Monday, Tuesday, before starting to make way for our next system by Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. High temperatures for Saturday, yeah, we are right on that 80-degree threshold out there in the Delta. Those reds showing up way more, and those reds going to be indicative of some warmer air. 79 Greenwood, Greenville, 78 Clarksdale and Tunica, 76 Holly Springs, and 78 down there towards Macon. It's going to be a toasty forecast. I mean, I just cannot get over that, how warm it'll be mid-November. We had 22 degrees heading out the door earlier this week. Just wrap your mind around that. And now we're talking about the 80s. Yeah, if you're new to Mississippi, this is a normal for where we live. Oklahoma coming to Tuscaloosa to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. That kickoff's going to be at 2:30 on Saturday. 77 first place, 75 by halftime, wrapping it up at about 69 degrees. Going to be a comfortable forecast all afternoon long. If you're going for any tailgates beforehand, still going to be a great forecast. But they're not alone in that. Great forecast happening over here in Oxford, Mississippi. Florida coming to town to take on the Rebels at night in Vaught Hemingway. So like I was saying, students, if you don't have plans on Saturday, you definitely need to get out there to the game. My wife told me over the phone today that this is arguably the biggest game of the season because it has playoff implications attached to it. Lose this game, out of the playoffs, but win it, you keep your holding there and hopefully wrapping up the season in that top 12. 70 degrees first place, 67 halftime, and 66 towards that final snap. So Rebel fans, forecast is looking good too. So we're not having to worry about rain, we're not having to worry about cold. No, this is a perfect forecast to go watch some football be played. Mississippi State traveling up there to Columbia to take on the Missouri Tigers, or as Matt would say, the Missouri Tigers. Yeah, 68 degrees first place, 61 by halftime, and 57 towards that final snap. No rain chances for that night game. That didn't update either. Well, it is at 6:45. I will make sure that is updated at the 10 o'clock broadcast. But nonetheless, we are not tracking an ounce of rainfall. It's going to be a dry forecast, even with those cloudy conditions kicking back into the forecast. Speaking of rain chances, we're dry well into the weekend, but watch how these build back over next week. 10% Monday and Tuesday. That's associated with a frontal system that we don't have full belief will be all the way in North Mississippi, primarily remaining up there towards Tennessee. But those build back, and Thursday night, heading into our Friday, will be where the main event takes place, as we are watching the potential for more storms to push back into the forecast, and maybe even a strong storm. Can't be ruled out as of this point. We'll break that down here in just a moment. But first, let's get into that 7-day forecast, and we're talking 47 heading out the door tomorrow morning. Cool start to the day, but well above average for this time of year, topping out at about 76 degrees by the afternoon. So when we say above average, we're really emphasizing that towards that afternoon high temperature. Plenty of sunshine throughout the day, and that sunshine does stick around for the most part into our weekend. Cloud cover building back early next week as moisture returns to the forecast. And as you can see, with these temperatures becoming a little bit more aligned, not a lot of disparity like what we're seeing, on our Friday. It's a 31-degree temperature change, 17 there for Sunday, 14 there by Monday, shows that moisture is returning to the forecast, and that'll really be evident getting into our Thursday night and into our Friday. Breaking that down here in just a moment here from the Room to Room Weather Center, so stay with us here for Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We'll talk more about those rain chances next week, coming up in the next 60.
I felt accomplished after I got my diploma. Made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
Welcome back here to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I know that some folks were talking in the chat saying, looking sharp, Matt. For sure, love the bow tie. Going to emphasize that one more time. But he is heading to an event tonight, so he was with us at the start of the show. Not with us now, but go ahead and say hey in the chat because he'll be reading it back later on today. But yeah, wanted to explain that for some folks that might have been a little bit confused of, where's Matt? Why are we talking about Matt? Well, he was here earlier today, so you just missed him. But we're going to continue to break down this forecast, something that he was talking about at the start of the show. Continue to look at this as we head into the next couple of days. So let's go ahead and talk about the next couple of days. We're first going to go to our Friday afternoon, staying with those dry conditions. And as we get more into the weekend, staying with those dry conditions once again. So that's going to stick around into our forecast, getting into any of those weekend plans. Make sure to go outside and enjoy it. It's going to be a great one to just soak up that sunshine and enjoy this forecast. But I do want to say, this is our long track model, our GFS model that's going to show us a little bit about what's happening next week with rain chances. Overdoing it some days, underdoing it other days. We'll break that down coming up in just a minute. So as we keep expanding things out, you can see there's that little batch of energy that's moving into the forecast, primarily there towards eastern Texas. That could make way for some of that scattered development, but what we're watching here in North Mississippi is a little bit of that isolated coverage that pushes in by Monday. Now, model runs have not been favorable. It's not exactly been a rinse and repeat type forecast. This has been something that has changed each model run, and we saw it yesterday. Yesterday was showing about 30% coverage. Now, that's since pushed back to about 10%, and this is what's left, some isolated activity associated with a stationary front that's right over the top of us. And speaking of, I believe I'll be able to get the surface analysis in real quick. Let me go ahead and drag this in. So there we go. So there's that stationary front that's going to remain right over the top of us, and you can almost expand that a little bit more, pushing more into Tennessee, and that's why you get this isolated activity well over there towards eastern Arkansas and northwest Mississippi. So not ruling out the opportunity for a few isolated showers, but not really going to be expected as we get into that extended forecast. Now, looking at fuel. Fuel is definitely there. This is going to be the warm sector behind that frontal system, and so getting a few showers out here towards Arkansas and Louisiana, a realistic possibility, but our main batch of moisture is going to be right along that frontal boundary for any showers and storms that do form. This is for our Monday afternoon forecast. So still keeping those percentages around 10% as our other long track model. Not exactly liking those chances too much. So we're going to keep it around 10 with the opportunity to maybe increase as we get into that extended forecast. Moving ahead to our Tuesday afternoon, you can see energy is still there. We're getting that southerly wind really kicking in, that Gulf moisture, which is warmer and a little bit more, have more moisture attached to it. So those two things together making the atmosphere slightly more unstable, and that's why that instability is there. We just don't necessarily have a lifting mechanism for this to form. Our lifting mechanism well into Missouri and northern Tennessee. So as we get further into the forecast, well into our Wednesday, you can see that chances do form. I want to say though, this model run is very unique, not like the other model runs that we have seen. So this is a new development that we're tracking. That's why we're not overly sold on this development just yet. We need to see a repeat of this forecast, especially because we are nearly a week out. So this is a forecast that will change over the coming days, and we'll keep eyes on this behind the scenes. But as of right now, we're tracking more isolated activity attached to the stationary front that could bring a few showers and storms up here to North Mississippi. But I do want to say, look at the positioning of that front right along that Kentucky, Missouri, southern border. Not all the way here in North Mississippi, and that's really where we're watching for. If that front were to push a little bit more south, then these rain chances do verify. But if it remains up north, not liking our chances whenever it comes to this system. But then we get into our Thursday, and as you can see right here, I should say, this is one of our earlier model runs. I can tell for sure, because this has since pushed a little bit more ahead. Let me go ahead and go make sure that this is on the latest. So looking at some of these model runs, this is of course an earlier model run. This is going to be Thursday morning whenever this front moves through, at least on this model run. This is going to be one of those cold fronts kind of swinging through the area that's giving us that line of showers and storms. You look at where this is moving in, granted timing will be a little bit off, and I want to say that this has since been pushed back just a little bit towards our Thursday night. So not liking the positioning on this just yet, but I do like the fact that it has that front lining up with this batch of unstable air. Those two things interacting together could produce a few strong thunderstorms right over the top of us as we get into our Thursday night and into our Friday morning. Again, timing not exactly lining up with where we like things right now, but it is something we're keeping eyes on behind the scenes as that inches closer. And as you can see, this is definitely going to be a system that brings a lot of energy, and that leading edge, the potential for maybe a few strong wind gusts. That's going to be one of the main threats we watch for interacting with that small amount of unstable air. It's just a matter of how much instability is there as we get into that extended forecast. So better chances out there towards Louisiana and southern Arkansas. Here in North Mississippi, we'll have some energy, but what does it do with that energy? That's what we're asking as we get into the next several days. And of course, this is a forecast that we're watching behind the scenes in more detail, but luckily we do have a few days until we get into that main event that we get to enjoy, and it is going to be a much calmer pattern pushing into that forecast tonight and into our Friday. So yeah, I mean, that's basically what we're watching for, is just how much those rain chances will affect us next week. There's going to be a lot of flip-flopping on those percentages based off of what models are saying, but as of right now, we are assessing it behind the scenes, and Chief Meteorologist Matt Laupon and I kind of rounding out those percentages to a point where we feel comfortable with it, and that's where we think that forecast is going to trend, but we'll keep eyes on it as we get into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and well into next week as that event's happening. Day planner for tonight, dry and clear, 54 degrees around 8, 50 by 10, and dropping off to 48 by midnight. So any of those plans this evening going to be good to go. No drop of rain in the sky. It is just going to be a cooler forecast the later you get out, so make sure to have those layers on standby, and of course have ways to stay warm in this fall-like pattern. So I should say fall pattern, not fall-like. We're in fall. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. I want to say big shout out to everybody that has just offered your support to us here at Mississippi Live Weather. You guys have been a blessing, and we'll never take that for granted. And we're just so glad that we get to be a part of the North Mississippi family. And whether it's on your phone, on your television screen, either way, you guys are supporting us. And that is just something that we still can't wrap our minds around. We're so grateful for it. So thank you once again. And if you have not went ahead and downloaded the app, well, the best way to do so is scan the QR codes right there at the bottom right and left of your screen. It'll take you to the App Store, iOS and Android, to tell you the latest on that forecast. We'll update that for you here at Mississippi Live Weather, and it'll have everything you need to know as you head out the door. Our next broadcast happening at 10 p.m. tonight. We cannot wait to see you guys there. Update on those rain chances as well as what to expect with those football forecasts. And happening tomorrow morning at 6:37 and 7:30, our meteorologist Maggie McCauley will have the latest on what to expect as we wrap up that work week and enjoy our Friday. We'll see you back here tonight at 10. Until then, you guys have a great night, and we'll see you back here very shortly.